No, I mean, it's not that they're gonna be there. Here's the thing, I'm not great at OC contrary to popular belief, I'm not great at obstacle course racing.
All right. Should I not
Um,
have said you might finish in your age group on the podium? Should I not have said that?
I'm I don't know, it depends on how who else shows up and how they do. I don't my for me, my goal setting is not based on placements and rankings, it's based on mileage. Because that's my mileage is not dependent on who's there, who shows up in my age group, who just happens to come. Um, so I'm not trying to place, in my age group or overall or on top 10. If that happens, that's like a nice little
It's
added
just about for you.
bonus.
It's just about staying moving.
I would like to do my best. I would like to be out the whole time, and this is my third year trying to get a silver bib. So
Well, I mean, everybody says that, but most people don't actually mean it. Most people say they're not thinking about those things, um, and they just want to do their best. But I can tell you actually mean it. So, listen, my buddy Peter will be there. He's lost a bunch of weight recently. You've probably heard either about Peter or maybe he's been on the show because Peter's worked the tent for our local events for the last 10 years. Peter will be there. He's going for his silver bib. So if you see Peter out there, give him a shout. He's
okay.
and I'm crewing for Peter. So here's the thing. In all the years, I've never actually crewed anybody for World's Toughest. I've always like I worked for Tough Mudder for 3 or 4 years there where I was on the live streams with them or we were doing content. And then those years and all the other years, obviously I've been doing my thing and I've run it a couple times. So I've never actually like crewed. So I'll be doing my thing. I'll be doing fun behind the scenes stories and interviews before and after, but I'm going to crew
Mhm.
Peter. I'm excited about it. So,
Yeah, it's a lot of work. He's going to be coming in every hour 40.
well, if he's moving,
I mean, if 75 is the goal, it's an hour 40 lap time.
okay, well then that's perfect. And he's like, Matt, I don't even need a tent. Just bring everything to the pit. I mean, to the
Yeah,
what do you call it?
quick pit.
So who do you guys use? Because you guys both run it, right?
Yeah. I don't have a pit crew.
Hang on, someone's at our door. Is that trick or treaters, honey? Should I go look?
Do they know they're late?
Oh, it's a package. Can I do a quick shout out of my latest sponsor since we're talking about sponsors?
Okay. Who do you got?
Speed Lab Energy Gummies.
Ooh, energy gummies.
Is that for me or for you?
No, it's for the kids. I think Anne sent them Halloween candy.
Oh, Halloween candy. So this gentleman I spoke to said, Matt, I'm a fan of your show, and I know you're someone that consumes a lot of caffeine. Do I have a product for you? So Speed Lab Energy Gummies. I took
Okay.
some yesterday before my podcast, and I was jacked up, and I loved it. So shout out Speed Labs Energy Gummies. Um, these are the strawberry lemon. I don't know what I had yesterday, but anyway, where the hell were we?
We've been a few places.
Oh, so what do you do for pit crew?
I don't I'm not a pit crew gal. I didn't have a pit crew in 2019, which was my first one. I didn't have a pit crew in 2020. Last year I had one person and that's only cuz she offered, so I accepted.
Okay.
Um I'm very shy about asking for help.
Okay.
So I'm not going to be the one to be like seeking people out and be like, "Will you be my pit crew?" It just feels like a big ask to like, "Hey, can you travel to this place and stay awake for 30 hours to
Yeah,
help
it's a,
me
it's a
reach this
commit.
goal?" It's like a really big ask.
It's a huge
Um,
commitment.
but if someone offers and I feel like they're a good match for my goals, I'll accept. So last year, my friend offered, and I wasn't sure if she was serious, but then she like kept checking in with me like
Right.
as the months went by and I was like, wow, she's committed to this idea. And she was outstanding. She was my outstanding pit queen and it was very helpful, but she is running this year. So I am once again pitless. I mean, I gave the orphan tent a heads up as far as what my goal is. So Tracy is like has an eye out for me at least this year, which in previous years I didn't. I didn't go to the orphan tent in advance. But they're always there, whether you pay them in advance or not, or tell them in advance. They're always there to help, which
Yeah.
I did accept help in 2019, which was my first year. I didn't know the orphan tent was a thing, and there were times when I went into the orphan tent shaking and crying, and I was like, "Someone help me!" And I got lots of help from them, and they didn't care that I didn't pay the fee. But
Yeah.
now I am a seasoned racer, and
Yeah.
I have talked to Tracy in advance.
Well, listen, everybody does their own, like everybody learns lessons either the easy way or the hard way. And some people, like, again, are shy about asking for help or whatever. I know for me, it's not even like because some people would say, like, well, you really don't need anybody except to like help the wetsuit get on and off. To me, it's about shutting your brain off and just running. And that is a huge thing for me. So like when I did my backyard ultra, and I could come in and he could hand me something. I don't have to think about pouring the drink. It's just all that stuff. And he'd say, "What do you want next time?" And I'd be like, "Hey, PB&J next time." And then you
Mhm.
come in and it's there. So to me, it's massive. I've seen people just, Trevor Psychos. You'll always hear about Trevor. I mean, his wife will probably be there this time, but Trevor literally in the past is like taken the ironing board from his hotel room, set it up,
I might
put
try
a
that this year.
put a bunch of gallons of water on it and a fucking pizza and gone and ran. But Trevor is a fucking cyborg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's a lot.
but like
That's
that's
how I
him.
am too.
And
I'm a
I've
very
seen.
self-sufficient runner.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I remember even if you listen to, I may go back and do this. Go back and listen to the 2013 World's Toughest, where I meet this guy named Ryan Atkins, and I'm like, "Hey, who are you?" He's like, "Well, there's a guy from Canada." I'm like, "What do you eat?" And he's like, "Canned peaches." He had no pit
I was
crew.
livid because he got like no screen time until until he was like 2 laps ahead of the next closest person.
Right. But like
No
that's
one
what
knew
he
who
was.
he was.
He just, he had canned peaches in his pit and he got out
Yeah.
and he ate them and he got back on the track. So anyway, I'm a huge fan of having someone be your, and then of course, when you want to quit being that person that's like, come on, let's go. We can do this. Let's go. That stuff
Yeah.
too. But like I said, to me, it's just about turning your brain off. And just, okay, all I have to do is run 5 miles again. I think Jason just said that if you're trying to get 50, you're not running 50, you're running 10 laps of 5. That's how I did it. That was
Mhm.
my goal. So if you're trying to get 75, what is that, 14?
It is 15.
50? Oof. So yeah,
It's
okay.
a lot. It's a
Run that.
lot.
Run that. What do we call the first lap?
Sprint lap.
Sprint lap. Cool. 14 to go. Run the next lap. Cool.
Mhm.
13 to go. That's how I did it. So anyway,
That's my mentality too. I don't even actually think in I think in terms of time because that's what helps me
the
personally.
hour 40. So when you realized you were not going that fast, what did you do? Did you freak out? Did you adjust your goal? What did you do last year?
Um, I went to the
Cried?
pit. I changed my clothes. I had myself a good cry, and then I said, "Okay, let's do this thing." And I left my pit.
Okay.
And I went out and I did my best.
Was it the penalties that were causing you that?
Absolutely.
Because that's
Well, a
what
few things.
Jason Rulo got very mad. He said they should have changed the course to make it. They should have made the penalties when everybody's failing. They should change it. That was his thing.
Yeah, the penalties were long. They were adding a lot of mileage. Um, so yeah. Uh, but I know there were people who, who were capable of getting the obstacles more than me, so they didn't have as many penalties, and that's just on me for not being better at obstacles, I guess. Do I wish the penalties were shorter? Absolutely. The grappler penalty was outrageous. The funky monkey penalty was outrageous. Like those two alone. Like
Grappler,
if you did those
grappler,
two, it added like a mile and a half to your course time, like your
gra-
course mileage. It's
grappler was
crazy.
carry a sandbag a quarter mile up a hill, right?
No, it was like 2/3 of a mile loop through a swamp in the darkness.
What was the one that you had to go up the hill? I thought if you missed the grappler, they sent you up the hill.
The
Maybe that's two.
grappler, you had to go up the hill regardless. Whether you got the grappler or you didn't get the grappler, you're going up a rocky hill. If you get it, you get to go up the rocky hill using a rope, but you always have to go up the rocky hill.
Right. Let's go to results from last year. So I remember when the grappler was first introduced in Vegas, I remember there was like one volunteer. And so someone would throw it, and if they made it, he would climb up, and the volunteer would be like, "Okay, I'm kind of taking my time before I throw it back down." And a couple of us more would go, but then he'd eventually throw it back over. Do they still do
Mm.
that or no?
No, each person has to make their own throw.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
listen,
that's why that
if you're a
obstacle got
volunteer and you're
so backed
listening,
up.
if you're a volunteer and you're listening, you can do that. You can be like, oh, I'm kind of taking my time and let the next couple people kind of sneak up and then do it.
No, because they made it a part of the obstacle, not just to make it up the hill, but part of the obstacle is actually throwing
No,
it.
I know, but I'm saying like we definitely did that a couple times
Oh, yeah.
where the volunteer was cool about it and nice
Yeah.
about it and was like
Well,
like he's
if it's
walking
written
over
in the rules,
because
I have to follow the rules.
there's like let's say there's are you leaving, honey?
Yeah, love you.
Bye, sweetie. Because there's like 7 of them, and he was the only volunteer at 2 in the morning, and so he would be on the other end throwing the other one back, and so you see, like he would just kind of like. Anyway, I'm okay with that.
I'm not a loophole. I'm not here to judge anybody else's
Okay,
race, but I'm not a loophole person.
I'm 100% a loophole person. I am
I'm
a.
not gonna stand on that podium knowing I cut corners.
Some say if you're not cheating, you ain't trying,
Well, then I'm
Melissa.
not trying, I guess. I'm
Listen,
not a cheater.
there's definitely a line. There's definitely a line, and everybody's line is different. Yours is very black and white. Mine is a little grayer. You know what I mean? Like, here's okay, Melissa Linden.
Uh-oh.
Again, famous stuff for the OGs out there. 20 yeah, the first one, 2011. Jung Young Pak wins it. This guy named Dieter comes in second. And he later would say, in the middle of the night, I was going through and breaking the ice on these like not mud mile, but like just like a go through the mud thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Pack was like going as close to the edge as he could, like without like being outside the obstacle, basically.
Yeah.
And so this guy was saying like, well, he didn't really do it because I went through it like it was designed to do. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, if that's the way you look at it, that's your choice.
Yeah. And you're right. There's a line between, taking the advantageous route and being very, very strict with your obstacle. Like,
Right.
I take the edges of Mud Mile. If it's allowed, yeah, I take the edges of Mud Mile. Sure.
Okay. All right. Because I always say if you want people to run in the middle, then put the fucking tape in the middle. That's what you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
I do try to honor the course tape unless it's not practical. I've gone outside the course tape if it wasn't practical. So when I say I'm a rule follower, I'm just, like
all
within
right, so
reason.
we're gonna break this down. I just opened up your results.
Oh no.
56, 104, 113, 116, 117. Okay. The next one's 143. So did you
Mhm.
go too fast those first 4 laps or
Absolutely not. I was the last black bib to cross the finish line on the sprint lap. I am so slow.
no, on the sprint lap, but the
Yep.
next 4 you want to be at 140 and you're 20 minutes ahead of that, 30 minutes ahead of that on the
Yeah.
other laps.
No, I was taking my time. I was
So the
just
obstacles just weren't open yet.
they just weren't open yet. Yeah.
Okay, so then we hit 143, 147. We're doing okay. Lap 8. Now it's like 2 in the morning probably or
Yeah, it's my
midnight.
time.
2 hours and 18 minutes. What happened?
I was sleepwalking.
Oh,
All of the obstacles were open.
that early you're sleepwalking?
Um, if it was 2 in the morning, do I also need to be looking at the results?
I don't
Uh,
know.
lucky for me, I have it open as a tab because I've been thinking about nothing but World's Toughest Mudder.
Right.
Where are we?
Melissa Linden. Overall,
218?
you finished second in your age group. Nice
I
job.
did. I did do that.
Who beat you?
That was a shock. Katie Knight.
Oh, you got beat by a former champ. I'll
Yeah,
take it.
no, she was very fast. It wasn't even close. She
She's not there
finished
this year.
she did 70 miles. I
I don't
did
want to
65,
I don't want to
and
put
she
pressure on you.
finished like 5 hours before me.
Okay. I don't want to put pressure on you, but she's not there this year. So
I know.
it
I know
means you're
she's
number
not there
one.
this
That means
year.
you're number one.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of really talented girls
Okay. So what
coming.
happened between
So I
okay,
don't know
so
what time we're at,
total
but
time.
we're
Okay.
12 hours into the race.
Total time 11:58. So it
Okay.
starts at noon. It's now midnight.
Yeah,
And
that means all the obstacles are open.
okay. But that's the difference between 5 and 6. I'm asking about 7 and 8, 147 to 218.
Yeah, that's the midnight. I think the last obstacles opened at midnight, didn't they?
Okay, so then the
Or
next jump is 9 to 10, 220 to 240. That's 2 in the morning. So you're sleepwalking.
in sleepwalking. Yeah.
So how are we going to get these down? Because if you do these early laps just as fast, which you say is slow, you've bought yourself some time,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and the reason you can see where my longest pit was, where I went in and I changed my clothes and I had myself a cry. When I took that pit, that was when it was no longer mathematically possible for me to reach my goal.
Right.
Um, because I had banked some time
Right.
on the first few laps, so you know, and that's what I'm thinking is like I still have time. I still have time. I need to finish this lap by this time. And then and at a certain point, I finished the lap after the time
Guess
that
what
I needed
I'm going
to
to
reach
do this
75.
I'm going to do this right now in Chat GPT. You ready?
Uh-oh.
Let's make some well, I'm going to do this for Peter.
Why? What times?
Yeah, and I'm going to say to him, if you're not hitting these, if you're not hitting these, what do you
Here are
want
the
me to
times.
what do you want me to say to you? Because I know what I'm going to say is you're going to fucking keep going anyway.
Yeah.
But so the
And
race
that was the
start.
thing. It was like, well,
What time's the race start? 12 or 1?
we were starting at 1 this year.
The race starts at 1 p.m. on Saturday. The race ends at 2:30 p.m. on Sunday. But I have to start the final lap by 1 p.m. on Sunday. Please tell me what time I need to be done with each lap by. Okay, you ready? The number of laps in this race, whether equal time, adjust per lap. The number of laps in this race. The Okay, hang on. This is great. Okay. Lap completion goals. Finish each lap in 2 hours to complete 12 laps by 1 p.m. Sunday. 15 laps. Finish each lap in 1 hour and 36 minutes. That's what you said, right?
140
Okay,
is what I said.
he's saying 136, but hang on one second. Now give me the laps 1 through 15. What time do I need to be finished for each lap? This is the magic one, right? Yeah, Saturday 236, 412, 528. Yeah, this is the thing. So you start that last lap right at 1 p.m. and
Mhm.
you got it. This is great. This is awesome. You need to hit 50 by what's 50? 12? What's 12 times 5? 60. 5 a.m. Do your 10th lap.
Yeah, I have 440 written down, but yeah.
Well, here's the great news. You're definitely going to be ahead. You're going to be way ahead early on. And then it's just about staying together after. I mean, but see, I'm the opposite. I like never do this. For me, I'm just like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like, I almost never want to look at numbers or data. I just like, let's just go. That's the kind of how I am.
Yeah, and I'm not looking at my watch and like adjusting my pace based. I'm running how I feel, and then I'm just checking in, and it's just to keep my mind busy. I'm just doing my lap math in my mind to keep my mind busy because you have a lot of time with your thoughts out there, so I'm just doing math to keep
Right.
myself busy.
Right. Um, I also recommend like finding a friend. You know what I mean? Like that's what I've always done is like
I tried in those early morning hours when I was really
it's
struggling,
really
there
hard.
was no one. There was nobody. I would have loved to pair up with somebody, but there was nobody except for the guy who is peeing on the side of the course, and I almost walked into him because I was sleepwalking.
Right. Um, did he know he could just pee in his wetsuit? Did he know he didn't need
I
to
don't
go to
know
the
if he was
side?
wearing a wetsuit.
Oh, I don't remember what the temperatures were last year.
I know a lot of people got hypothermic. I was able to stay warm the whole time, and I think that was just the speed I was maintaining, um, which was not fast. I was just running. I ran the whole race. I walked hills, but I ran the whole race. Um, So I was able to not wear any neoprene, which I'm shocked because I'm notoriously cold all the time.
Um, yeah, people have been doing like the 10-day weather thing. Never look at the weather until
I
like
never look at the weather.
the
Stop
night
posting
before.
it in the group, guys. Stop
Yeah,
doing that.
seriously,
We
it's
don't want to
stupid.
see it.
Even the night before, it's probably wrong. You know what I mean?
It's
Even,
wrong.
right? It's definitely certainly this far ahead of its game. I mean, you may as well look at the Farmer's Almanac from 10 years ago and be like,
Yeah,
hey, well,
let's
typically,
start looking at the weather for next year in the UK. Can we see that forecast? And
listen,
stop posting it in the group.
listen, in Atlanta, okay, in Atlanta in 2018, we had icicles on obstacles,
Mhm.
right? The next weekend, because I live here, it was 70.
Yeah.
So you just never fucking,
Infuriating.
right, but you just never know. So that's how it goes. Florida, you just don't know.
Yeah,
And
and I'm
trust me,
never counting on it to be warm. I hope it is. I'm not counting on it. I'm still going to pack
it's
all of my wetsuits as if if it was another location, I'd pack all my wetsuits anyway.
it's easier for crew too. We don't want to stand around and freeze, right?
No. We don't want anyone to freeze, please.
Well, it's just harder. Um, if you're standing around, I mean, I remember my buddy Jeff was crewing, I think even at toughest, and then maybe one of the world's toughest in Atlanta. He was crewing, I think my buddy JD, and like he would crew him, run to his car, sit in his car, crank the heat for an hour, go back. I mean, hour and a half, and go back because it's just that bad. So yeah,
Miserable.
it's not fun. I'm still gonna pack hats and gloves
Yeah.
and everything else. Um, Somebody asked about coffee. We had a participant who had like they brought coffee, like they served coffee because they were
There was
like,
coffee at hospitality. I had some of that coffee. It was great.
oh, okay. But I remember in one of the Atlanta years, we had like a coffee, like a truck, like
Oh.
outside of the thing, and it was like I gave them, I want to say $50 on Saturday, and said, whenever I see you, just fill up my cup because I'm gonna just see you a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, What do you have? I always like to ask people, do you have a late night favorite snack? Do you have like a, okay, I can treat myself to this at lap, whatever, or at this time?
No. My so last year my fueling was very specific
Okay.
because I was on a meal plan at the time. Because I had a marathon 2 weeks later. So, leading into that marathon, I put myself on a restricted diet, and I decided to maintain it for World's Toughest Mudder.
So you
So, I was
thought
on very, very special food.
a good training plan for a marathon is to try to run for 24 hours 2 weeks before, when it takes your body at least a week to recover to just walk normal again.
I mean, it's not my first rodeo.
Okay.
At that point at the point that I'm at currently, a marathon is like a long training run for me. But it's on road, so it's different. It hurts more.
Right.
I feel like a marathon hurts more than a trail 50K. Even though the 50K is longer, the marathon hurts more for sure. But yeah, that was I don't know, at that point I'd run like 10 marathons already or something like that. So this was just routine. Is
Okay.
just run a marathon, put myself on a special meal plan 1 month into leading into the marathon, and World's Toughest Mudder happened to fall within that month. And I thought about it, and I decided to maintain this meal plan over World's Toughest Mudder. And I gave my pit crew like I every single lap, this is what to feed me. This lap, give me 3 meatballs and this pouch of vegetables. This lap, give me this. This lap, give me this. It was very specific. Um, my fueling strategy will be different this year because I'm not on that same meal plan. Um, but I just need to remind myself to eat because I don't want to eat during ultras. I like I don't want to eat that often. Like as often as you're eating for World's Toughest Mudder, I don't want to eat that often. I don't want to eat that much. And I need to remind myself to eat more and eat substantial food. So I'll probably be fueled by whatever they're serving at the orphan tent, which they do like, meatballs, pancakes, sandwiches. On my own, I'll bring pierogies because pierogies are the perfect ultra food. And other than that, I really like eating candy.
Yeah, see, I'm not big on candy either normally or even in an ultra. Just the crash is just too hard for
Oh
me.
no, I gummy worms and gummy bears and oh yeah.
Like I was looking forward to eating some candy last night when my kids came home, but apparently they didn't have it. My son River dropped his. They went to a scary house, I guess, like a haunted house, and he dropped it. Didn't want to go back and get it. And my older son, who went trick or treating, like teenage trick or treating, like didn't really wear a costume. Like he put on a mask and just put stuff in his pockets, so he didn't have any candy either.
Didn't
But like
even
I,
bring a bag.
or like all my like my UK friends gave me massive amounts of candy to give to the kids. And I, of course, gave them some. And then when I started having them, I just get that kind of candy sugar sick. I don't do really well with it. But I like goos and gels for like hours 1 through 6, and then I need real food. Then I
Oh, I'll be
need
having goose the whole time.
then I need PB&J, burger, whatever. Once we get into those later hours, I can't
Mhm.
do goos and gels late. My stomach just doesn't like it.
So goos are the entire 25 and a half hours, every 45 minutes for the entire 25 and a half hours. So when I say fueling, I mean in addition to goos. Goos are all
Okay.
the time.
Okay. So you've got like a calorie plan.
Yeah. I usually, on my long runs, I aim for 60 grams of carbs per hour. So I'm going to try to maintain that. And if I can't do it through food, I also pack my high carb scratch, which is an electrolyte mix. So I can get some carbs that way
Yeah,
also.
I've never been a scratch. I've always been Tailwind. I really like Tailwind.
I like Tailwind, but Scratch has the high carb version. That's why I bought it.
I wonder if they do one.
If Tailwind does,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like everybody's always reformulating and doing stuff.
Yeah. I'm not a fuel snob. I'm not like I'm not like, oh, I only have this brand, like, whatever's around. I love eating. I love food. I love treats. And I don't really have a sensitive stomach typically during races, so I'll eat just about anything.
This has actually been really good because you're going to help me crew my guy. This is actually working out perfectly. But yeah, just listening for the new people. When you're out there in those lonely hours and you're approaching someone and they're huffing along, and you're probably thinking they're in a such better place than I am, they're probably not. They're probably in the same place you are. So just saying hi, um, their name is probably in the back of their shirt. Definitely put your name on the back of your shirt or whatever you like to be called if it's not your name. Because just like, hey, Fun Buns or whatever the name is, and they
Fun
turn
bun.
around and you're like, how are you doing? And like, oh, I'm fucking miserable, or this
No,
sucks,
you're doing great.
or I'm loving
Keep
it.
moving.
Whatever it is, just like you can either bond over the trauma or you can say, cool, you just helped me get out of my funk just by saying hello.
Yeah.
So uh it feel if you want to quit and you're tired, it's because you're all up in here, you're all stuck in your head. So once you put things out, once you say it out loud, even saying out loud, this sucks and it's horrible, somehow it makes it easier. And then you can go, okay, actually, I don't mean that. I want to stay in this or whatever. Just talk to people. Don't be alone. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I just make your way to get to the next obstacle. Because there's people who will just camp at obstacles the whole night to help. There will be volunteers who will be there the whole night to help. And some of the volunteers are very outspoken in the group about loving to give warm hugs in the middle of the
Yes.
night. So just
Yes.
get yourself to the next obstacle. I can't tell you how healing it was last year, the group of guys that was at Dublin Walls. It was healing to me. I was,
Wow.
like, on the verge of tears. I was waiting for the sun to rise, and I get there, and I'm just like, "I hate this." I was just falling asleep walking here, like, and I get there, and I hug the volunteer, Dave. I hug, Joe, who was there all night helping people, and then I turn around, and the sun is rising, like, on the
Oh,
horizon, and I was like, "Let's do this!" Yeah, it's just yeah, get just if you're in a funk, just get yourself to the next obstacle, hug whoever's there.
yeah. And remember, it is always darkest before dawn. And
It
then that
is
and then that sun comes and it's the greatest thing in the world.
energizing. I felt like a new person when the sun came out.
I think this is a perfect place to wrap up for our first podcast chat.
Oh boy.
Is there any burning questions you have, Melissa, now that you have me on the microphone?
What does the B stand for? Is that everyone's burning question?
It's a frequent burning question.